jumping in the midst for. Now we get to see him. I think that's the first time we've seen Cyclone spin on camera.
Maybe with his own individual cam. Usually we get to see Cyclone spin like in the back of Aurora's cam, like just kind of hovering around. But now we get to see him in his full glory here, and he's been having a really insane run the last couple of times we've seen Cyclone spin. I mean, that Artemis performance at playoffs was ridiculous. I don't think we'll be allowed to see him play that one here today. If the Oni Warriors lets Artemis through, I'm expecting the Tartarus Titans to slam lock it in that first slot and never look back. That is how dominant Cyclone spin has been looking recently, but it's not just the Artemis that he's capable of piloting. I mean, Izanami has been working out mightily well for him. His ROM is incredibly strong as well. You know, he's actually got the largest god pool inside of the SPL according to Goremiser's facts, so maybe it's not worth listing out everything he's capable of playing and instead listing the things that he isn't, and I'm not sure there is any.
Yeah, especially when he came from a solo lane background, and that was during the meta where you could play just about anything that you wanted in solo. I mean, he was playing Ullr, Kali, Bakasura. His god pool is infinitely growing. As long as there are new gods added in Smite, you can expect there will be new gods added in Cyclone's god pool. And as the first phase of bans come through, a little bit of a difference as far as where the Titans' priority of bans is compared to what the Bolts ban against the Warriors. The Titans go for a Kuzenbo ban. Neil got to play it 3 games in a row yesterday, so they banned it this time with Terra Erlong. On the other side, the same bans that we saw from the Warriors yesterday. They don't want to see Ardia, they don't want to see Emoja and Hell, but a Khepri, Cerberus, and then a Rom locked in for these teams. And I'm kind of with you here, Mifflin. Where's the Tiamat?
Hey, maybe it's right here. Tiamat Artemis. Let's see it, Tartarus Titans. The Oni Warriors sets are so interesting inside of the P's and B's because I think they actually adjust the priority order of the teams they're playing against. Are the Tartarus Titans a squad that are generally first picking Khepri? I mean, every here and there, sure, but not something we are used to seeing inside of that first pick selection. Tartarus Titans, though, are thinking about it. Look, man, Tiamat and Artemis are out there. They're just out there, and I don't know what they're thinking about.
And it's 2 players who performed exceptionally well with it during the playoffs.
Yeah, Paul played it like 4 games straight.
And won 3 of those 4 and still looked good even in the game that he lost. You know, 30+ thousand player damage every single game. Well, there's one of the 2 at least. It'll be Chernobog for the Titans. But Tiamat somehow makes it all the way to a 5th pick total in the lineup. It still manages to make it through top 3. But it's weird to even say that she made it to a top 3 for the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Paul's just fine with it, or maybe he isn't. Maybe he's just like, hey, I want to play anything else. I know she's good, but can I just get a little bit of variety in my pick selections? And the rest of the Titans are like, no, she's just that strong. You got to lock it in. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Oni Warriors going to pick up Serket for themselves, and that is likely headed towards the support role. If history's any indicator, Cerberus generally pretty strong inside of the solo lane, and we know what Vote is capable of doing on this ROM pick. So I like the Oni Warriors core 3 as of right now, but it's a lot of single target damage. I mean, Serket's ultimate single target, the majority of her damage single target. ROM generally auto attacks, and those snipes not really AoE. Even Cerberus with the paralyzing spit, all single target. And what do the Titans have on the other side to deal with that? Scarab's Blessing. I mean, if you're going for one guy, it's pretty easy for the Titans to peel that one guy.
That'll be a big, nice, easy target for Aurora to hit with that ultimate. As we go through the second phase of bans, Camazot's taken away, so taking a shot at Layers there. He had a strong performance on that during the playoffs as well. There was a couple of huge games that came up for him. And with the Odin ban as their second one, option goes back towards the Titans for what they want to finish out their bans with. It'll be a Morgan, the Morgan, and a Fafnir banned away. So not convinced entirely maybe that the Serket is going the way of support. It is still an assassin, so we do still have to respect the potential that this could go jungle, but it's so strange the last couple of weeks of play, we've mostly just been seeing Serket go support.
Yeah, I mean, Cubo Fred is very capable of playing Serket inside of the jungle, so I think the Tartarus Titans wisely just kind of saying, all right, if Fafnir does get picked, it would be super annoying to deal with it, like incredibly annoying to deal with that, so they just get rid of it immediately. I gotta agree with the decision making there, but what is left available and on the table? There's still a lot of priority picks out there, and the Oni Warriors, who have still not locked in their mid laner, essentially have the pick of the litter for themselves. I mean, Hera, that's one of Dardez's specials. Aphrodite's still out there as well. Keep your eyes on it. The Oni Warriors can just go ahead and wait it out, I think. I mean, there's no way the Titans are dipping into their god pool.
Even if you just want to go with top-end gods who are up there. Raijin, Morgan Le Fay still available.
No, this is the Warriors. They don't do those.
I mean, you gotta imagine,
it's
you gotta
hair
imagine
afro.
Raijin is still in the discussion. Maybe Giannis. Maybe. I don't know.
It's hair afro.
Okay, hair afro. We'll see if it's one of those two
It better
as
be.
we jump in, but we'll have to delay that thought with a Cabrakan. This still brings a little bit of that ambiguity for this team. Not 100% sold where now any of these 3 picks are going. Cabrakan, we've been seeing a lot more solo lane than anything else, but Cabrakan has been shown support. I know Aurora used to like to run it as far as the support role goes. We've seen Cabrakan jungle, Serket support, Serket jungle, Cerberus solo support. So much flex option for this Oni Warriors, and they're saving their mid lane for their last pick. Now it's back over to the Titans to see where they lock their final 2 in.
Bro, it's gotta be Serket in support, right? Cabrakan jungle, Cerberus solo. If I had to guess, if I were a betting man, and I am absolutely not, it's not the case. Aggro is shaking his head
Are you sure?
vehemently right now. I'm not sure if he's shaking his head that I'm not a betting man, or if he disagrees with my allocation of these guys. Oh, it's both. It's both. Okay.
So he's telling us it's both.
I'm gonna be so right. I can't wait. He's gonna be thrown off his whole game while he's casting this.
So you're going. Well, we got
Well, I
your
don't
thought.
bet.
We got your thought for it. So I'm gonna throw my guess here. I'm gonna say it's gonna be Cerberus going the way of solo.
Okay.
We're gonna have Cabrakan support.
All right.
And Serket jungle. I'm gonna throw that fun with there. I might be wrong. I
Aggro's
might
not
be
shaking his head
entirely
as
wrong.
you. Maybe he agrees.
Maybe.
He's closer.
Maybe. Aggro says I'm a little bit closer here.
So he
for it.
doesn't agree with either of us.
So no, he doesn't. He doesn't go through.
Hey,
Hera and
Discordia
Afro-
locked in.
Yeah,
Nice.
Hera Afra.
Isn't there the serious Smite Pro League? Then we're on to something, I think. This is great. No, this is fantastic. I'm glad
What a
that
start, Dave. I told you my cast was gonna suck. What's
Yeah,
your
you're
deal?
right. Well, it's because what? Your pillow was warm and you can't
Yeah.
flip it over. Yeah, right. We'll blame your wife, and I think that's a great
As per
start
usual.
from you, right?
Yep, as per usual.
And this time you're doing it. Well, I guess it was public anyway on Twitter. Let's give this this early game its due course before things maybe get off the rails here. I forgot what Myth predicted. Did we say Cabrakan support and Nika?
J-Mac did. Mifflin did not.
Got it. Okay, so J-Mac was right. Mifflin was not right. What do we think here? Neoma played Kuzumbo a whole bunch yesterday. Not surprising that he caught some bans here because felt like that was driving a lot of the front line for the Oni Warriors. Another eclectic pick here for Neoma, unfortunately. Somewhat easy to abduct the Cabrakan now, or are they happy to be even 8 minutes in?
I think I would prefer the Warriors to be slightly more aggressive, but it's hard. I mean,
There's not
the
much you can
Titans
do.
just have a Khepri. It's difficult to beat. I mean, this is basically the
I guess they have been
dream comp.
invading. They've tried, right?
Yeah, they've tried. It's not like the Warriors have been sitting on their hands entirely, but Fred has not been aggressive on enemy gods until right now.
Hugo Fred gets a little damage Paul's way. Stun onto layers from Neoma. So Paul rotates over. Another red buff spawn and another showing from the Oni Warriors. Neoma locked into place, taken down. First blood over to Paul on the team at worst case scenario for the Oni Warriors. Up to the sky goes Vote. And Hugo Fred is answered back with one Aurora. If timing perfect, Scarab's Blessing will dash on out of the stripe.
done.
And it looks like Aurora will survive, and Layers chopping away on the back line. Gets the Titans second.
And Fred's still in trouble too. Has the ultimate, lands. No, it didn't. It just missed.
Layers still chasing down onto Dardes, though. Paul, full HP, full mana. He's got something to say about it. Dardes into the stealth will
He lost
reset
him.
some of those cooldowns. And
He lost
Dardes
him.
actually breaks the ankles a bit, and it looks like the Discordia
Blinks up.
might be safe, but Layers blinks forward. The dash away from Dardes, and Layers makes him pay. 3-kill swing for the Titans.
Man, no justice in the world for Dardes.
That's
He
a
makes a big
deflector,
play
yeah.
like that and then still gets found out because Layers simply has Blink at the back end. But that was just Neil being way too far forward, uses his one without a whole lot of reason too much about Serket damage. It's really this Discordia, Cabrakan, and Cerberus that are going to be doing a lot of the damage to your backline, in particular the Guardians, of course. Maybe wants to go a little bit more physical protection later, but doesn't need it now.
Gold Fury is here, and so is Cyclone Spin right around Neoma. The tether is out. Layers is the one who gets stunned. There's a wall on the backside. Hey, he's walled off 3 people, but with himself. Cyclone Spin picks up the pick. And Gold Fury now easier for the Tartarus Titans.
That's been the plan, is just wait until Neil overextends, and he's done it twice and has been punished very easily by the Titans. I don't know if he had a window to blink out. I think Aurora might have put the 2 on him, and that'll keep you in combat for a long time. So good identification from Aurora. Cyclone,
Big
no
spike.
hesitation in order to get there.
Man, big spike now. 4K gold, 4K experience. Could get worse here. Look at Layers. I mean, why not? Right? Why not walk it, Vote? Didn't even need the Scarab's Blessing from Aurora, and that is easy. 302 now on the Osiris Stone Cutting Sword, Wingblade, and Ichabale. So you get an Ichabale as well for Layers. That boxing potential now difficult for Vote.
And he needed it too, because Vo was putting out some
Yeah,
good
some good
damage
damage.
against that minion wave, but clearly not quite good enough. Good identification from Layers that is an easy kill ahead. He brings a lot of CC, he brings a lot of setup.
Yep.
And a lot of times when you're down 5K in 17 minutes,
Whoa.
Fred goes in, but doesn't get the Pyromancer.
Well, that cost Fred, though. He blinked over the wall, sends Layers right on back. Pluck from Benji is there to send Cubo Fred pinballing across the jungle. And so Fred will dash away. Cost of his blink and his beads. It's probably something the Titans feeling okay about. Neoma in mid again. Aurora dashes forward. Won't get the abduct onto Neoma, but a strike connects onto Aurora. And Aurora's taken effectively no damage here in mid. So the overwhelming trade there is both relics from respawning. Pyromancer already taken down by the Titans just a moment ago. So this is where you might start to see the vision wars begin on the right side of the map. But, you know, a 6,500 gold lead, that's something an aggressive team like the Titans might feel comfortable with as far as looking for a pick and then maybe looking for Fire Giant afterwards. Cubo Fred could be first on the menu. He'll send Layers one way, but a block back. And the tether dashed on out of the Lord of the Afterlife just around the corner. Cubo Fred will survive. Now it's the Apple of Discord on to Layers, who's back by the speed buff. Nika can close this gap. This will be a huge pick, but a Scarab's Blessing perfect from Aurora. But a Stygian Torment sends them right both back into the backline. Abduct from Aurora keeps Neoma out of this fight. Cyclone Spin weaving in the damage, and he's got the first.
Nika low, but Cyclone lower. Fred has returned, and he's looking for Cyclone, but a great dash.
Cyclone in and out of the wall he goes, and now Paul can feast. Gets the knockup, gets the damage. Won't get the kill onto Cubo Fred. Pesky Cubo Fred keeps surviving. This is where Paul wants to do all that damage. And it feels like the Oni Warriors kind of fought aggro like you said they needed to. You're swapping in targets continuously.
Exactly, and it made it a lot harder for the Titans to find the right window, but it did make it harder for Aurora, who was on point with that Scarab's Blessing, saved Layer's life, and Nika and Neil were on totally different pages on where they were going for yourself and setting yourself up to extend this lead to an insurmountable number. It's close to insurmountable, but not there yet. If the Warriors are allowed to hang around, then it's going to get easy.
There's always a chance. We've seen some big turnarounds in the history of the SPL. Nika uses his beads here on right. It's a little gold infusion for the Tartarus Titans, who just secured the Pyromancer as well. Now Layers, he'll blink forward on Nika, force the jump on out. It's a grouping from the Titans around this tier 2. At some point, you can head on back towards this Fire Giant and maybe start things up there. I wonder if we'll see at any point Cyclone Spin and his ultimate force vote or someone to that side of the map, because you can rejoin the fight so quickly, but you'd rather Cyclone Spin be here from the start and start the Fire Giant. Has Neoma half HP outside of the FG ring. Kind of a soft reset on the objective now by the Tartarus Titans. The Oni Warriors extend forward. It's getting low though. Cyclone Spin still found some damage. It's a nice strike from Dardes, and the Apple is there. 2 in the ultimate from Neoma, and the Scarab's Blessing onto himself, and that's opened up the door for Paul to jump on it. Cubo Fred is the first to turn around to kill now for the Oni Warriors. Layers goes down. Benji controlling so much of this frontline space.
And it's only one, but that's still a 1-for-1 in favor of the Warriors, because it's not worse. It certainly could have been after how that fight
on the
started.
Aegis or the beads onto Paul so far this game. Paul has played it well as far as backing away and then jumping in. And so Paul will have both of the actives in it as well. A couple Spectral Armors picked up for the front lines of the Titans, so if it was difficult to kill them before, it sure is now, especially if your Vote, who I've mentioned, does not have those actives. Fire Giant restarted by the Tartarus Titans. Cyclone Spin well on the back, finding some damage in there. And look at the abduct into burst damage from Paul. Cubo Fred looking for the team app, but he won't find it. Layers leaps on out as the Apple is connected from Dardes onto the jungler. Up in the air is Vote. Damage going on to the FG, but it's been reset. Now it's a dash away from Cubo Fred. Benji silenced and stunned in place. And Aurora and the Titans, the team may be looking worse for wear.
Good again from the Warriors. They keep the back line at bay. They don't end up hard diving side for the Tartarus Titans, as there shouldn't be. But that means that Nika is getting maximum value out of this Mail of Renewal, making it look pretty good.
So it's not quite like 8-0 raid boss Nika on the Cerberus from yesterday, but still at a point where a lot of damage is going to get soaked up and then healed up from Nika, who continues to be so pivotal for the success of this Oni Warriors team. Even in a loss yesterday to a very good Bolts team, Nika was a lot of the driving force. So once again, we'll dance around the FG. It's been started by the Titans, And once again, Paul and Cyclone Spin playing safe in the back, but this time it's been completed. The Oni Warriors tried their best to steal it, but their best was not enough. Apple is out from Dardas, and it's on to Cyclone Spin, who has to Aegis it away. Neomod desperately trying to get the stun onto Paul, and he does, but the beads were still there, and Layers now has the credence and the freedom to find the back line. Cyclone gets one, and it's Layers who gets the other.
Oni Warriors just ripped apart at the seams by the Tartarus Titans, and Layers doesn't use his blink, he doesn't use his beads, he just ults in and gets to town on this Osiris. Chopping his way through the Warriors. And that was a risky call from the Titans to finish that fire, but the upside was high. They knew they were going to win the team fight afterwards, and now they're looking for the end.
Cubo, Fred, and Nika, the last line of defense, but it's a weak defense. The Titans group up as 5. Everyone has got FG here. Layers will add another 5, 1, and 6, and Paul will be on a killing spree. The Titans took a minute, danced a couple times around the FG, but it was patience, and the Titans will take game.
Everywhere on the map, it felt like they were playing proactively and properly. KDs look good for everyone involved, and the Oni Warriors, I don't think played poorly. I don't think they came in with a bad plan. It's just that they didn't quite stack up this time.
Just a very slow and methodical play from the Tartarus Titans. I mean, at one point, I looked down a few minutes in, we're 500,000 gold up. Next thing I know, I look up at 20 minutes and are 10,000 gold ahead, and it's not like they had taken the entire map away. It's not like all the towers have been stripped. It was just one objective after another, just winning out these small little skirmishes. Layers, I had like 3-4 kills by that 10-15 minute mark, and for an Osiris, that's just a dream for him.
Yeah, Layers is pretty good, by the way. I mean, he just like 1v1 vote pretty easily. I mean, it only feels confident enough to do that because of the composition that the Tartarus Titans have. Aurora, like 3 feet behind him, says, hey, do whatever you want. I got Scarab's Blessing. It's not an issue. I feel like this game really could come down to, and I'm sure the Oni Warriors might echo this, P's and B's diff a little bit here. It just felt like the composition that the Tartarus Titans were bringing dealt with handily every single threat that the Oni Warriors were able to generate, and it's reflected in the slash lines. Only 2 deaths for the Tartarus Titans, and the 2 people that died also had like a 5 KD and a 4 KD. Like, you got to be able to bring a little bit more here from the Oni Warriors. I think if they had a slightly more AoE or maybe a more meta mage out of mid, maybe that could have gone a little bit better for them, but I don't feel like I saw enough from Cubo Fred on the Circuit.
Get away, or will the Tartarus Titans be able to grab another Tiamat play? We'll see here. Picks and bans for game number 1. That is a pretty nice shirt. Yeah. I think any Bob Ross shirt that you can have out there is a good one.
Yeah, buy the Bob Ross Smite skin for Sylvanas at everybody.
Are you even still able to buy that one, actually?
If you are, buy it. If you aren't, I'm sorry.
If you missed out on your opportunity, well, sorry you missed out on a good skin. It is definitely one of the better skins out there for it. A good old classic Bob Ross Sylvanas. I mean, he's standing on top of the tree. It's a happy Grover too. A big smile painted on the tree's face. But for the picks and bans, it's Kuzenbo once again taken away by the Titans. Not going to give that one over to Neil Ma. And an immediate response by the Oni Warriors. They're going to strip the Khepri away from Aurora. Maybe a little too good that game on that god.
Yeah, Warriors in the first pick position as well this time around. They might be able to strip away the Tiamat if that makes its way through the entirety of the ban phase here. Terra, the 2nd overall ban from the Tartarus Titans. And I'm excited to see how the Oni Warriors kind of prioritize their picks here. We've seen from the Warriors in the past that they really do like going towards this Khepri in the first slot, but considering they're the ones to ban it this time, you got to think they're fishing for something else. Maybe it is that Tiamat. Maybe they're going for something like spicy out of the Hunter role if they want to go towards the Artemis or something along those lines. Maybe put Vote on his favorite pick inside of the ROM. The field is open here.
We'll see where they grab their first pick, but they still have one more ban to go for the Titans. Kuzenbo Terra on the other side, and it's highlighted the Khepri, a Hell, and a Yamoja. So Tiamat is still open. Now the kind of question comes to the Titans is, do they want to ban it because do they think that the Oni Warriors will grab it? You kind of highlighted in the last set that Dardas may not really necessarily go towards this pick, more towards the Afros, the Heras, even the Discordia. And the Discordia is
yeah, I said that,
yeah. You definitely, you may not have said it, but it definitely got picked for it. Erlang Shen is the first selection on the Oni Warrior side. First pick Erlang, how do you kind of feel about that with this Ardio as the final ban for the Titans?
I mean, Erlang Shen operates twofold. We know that Cubo Fred is very comfortable with this pick. He can dominate early games if he hits the ground running, and we know that Layers is also a fan of this pick as well. He goes towards it just about whenever it's available to him. So not only is it a good first pick, but it acts as a pretty nice ban as well. Tartarus Titans, I think, are saying, all right, Oni Warriors, if you've got a Tiamat, you got to take it here, because if they don't, it's pretty clear to me that the Tartarus Titans are very likely to take it with their third pick selection. But Cerberus and Rom are going to be the top 2 for the Chaos team this side around, and that's a pretty good top 2. I mean, Cerberus has decent flex potential if you do want to. Could head over to the support role, more than likely headed over into solo. Rom is a pick that has been serving Vote incredibly well. That's the adaptation that we saw from the Olympus Bolts in the last Oni Warrior set was, let's get Vote off this Rom, let's take it for ourselves, and it looked pretty good there. Seems like the Titans taking a play from their book.
Does not seem like the Oni Warriors care about Tiamat. Sobek and Heimdall are the next 2 gods locked in. A little bit of a trade there for the solo laners. We have Sobek on the other side of the map, but it's going to be a Tiamat one more time for the Tartarus Titans. Mid laner Paul gets now 5 Tiamat games in a row. Rom stripped away from Bolt this time around. It happened to him in the Bolts matchup where he got a nice game 1. And the team said, you know what, maybe that game 1 was a little too good. We'll take that one for ourselves. And as we jump in the second phase of bans, the Morrigan and Aphrodite banned away by the Titans. Oni Warriors, they want to take a little bit more away from layers here. This time they'll adapt themselves from game number 1. Not just the Camazots, but also an Osiris banned away.
Morgan Le Fay, Persephone, Raijin, Merlin, all still available. I mean, if we're talking about Dardes in particular, the Hera still out there as well. So I'm very curious to see how he chooses to go towards, or what he chooses to go towards with his selection. Odin getting locked in here for the Tartarus Titans tells me that it's pretty likely that we see Dardes try and pick something that can deal with that Ring of Spears, right? You probably don't want to lock in a Hera against Odin. I mean, he's just going to lock you down very early on, especially considering last time we saw Odin out of support role, he was kind of inside of mid the entirety of the game. It's just such an interesting picks bans. Every time I watch the Warriors, I'm not sure if Dardes just straight up hates what every other mid laner is playing. Like, this guy will not play the Merlins, the Raijins. He doesn't like the Tiamat, clearly. I mean, he was given multiple opportunities to take it in this match specifically. It's curious, man. The Oni Warriors, it feels like, sure, you're bringing flavor picks. You're bringing something that people don't have experience playing against, or not a ton of experience, to be sure. But there's a reason the meta picks are the meta picks. They're just good.
There's a reason that they work. I mean, they bring victories for your team. They bring wins. You were kind of questioning if you want to go with a Hera against an Odin. The Oni Warriors, they feel comfortable doing so. They're looking, and not just looking, they selected Hera and a Fenrir. Arachne being hovered, though I don't think we'll see the Arachne actually locked in here for the Tartarus Titans. Maybe not the safest selection out of all of them. A nice level 5 style of gameplay for the Arachne, but it will go back to the Gilgamesh, who, after the recent nerfs in this 8.8, we haven't seen him really looked at all by any team. So a 10-pick Gilgamesh here, maybe a little curious.
To be fair, did look good on this Hera yesterday. Yep. But didn't quite have the same issues on the enemy team.
Yeah, here's the thing about that though, Dave. Did he play Hera against Tiamat yesterday?
No.
Did he play it against Gilgamesh?
No.
How about Odin?
I don't think so.
Okay, yeah, no, that doesn't sound good to me. I mean, that's just... I just don't want to pick Hera against Odin, ever. And then Gilgamesh is just arguably better Odin Cage up against Hera. Like, very surprised to see that's the direction. You know, game 1, if you're gonna pick Hera and Discordia this set, I would have much rather had Discordia against this comp. All it takes is one Titans member to blow their beads. Players don't even have beads. That should be an opportunity to punish.
Yuma jumps in, gets the stun, but this is always what's going to happen. Cyclone Spin is going to send some damage right on back.
Getting interrupted all the time. Everyone's got beads. They peel really well. You've got no CC immunity. Your ultimate doesn't give you enough mitigation. All that good stuff.
Always going to see this. You're always going to see Yuma jump in, get Cyclone Spin low. But the reply every single time has been Aurora jumping back in. Level 5 for Numa right on time. Layers will get the execute with the winds of Shamash. And now it's a cage from Aurora. And what's Cubo Fred gonna do? He's stuck in place. Layers with a double kill. The comp working as intended. The Titans off to a 2-kill lead.
Wow, cage on cage seems pretty good to me, Dave. And Erlong seems to have literally no options, whatever that happens.
One spot in this game to hit one of those, and I'll do my best. But it's gonna come when you least expect.
There's the Mankind and Undertaker copy
it's
pasta.
the copy pasta.
That's a Hell in a Cell reference, right? We might be able to.
That's right. Back in There's one dude on Reddit, I think, that like starts off his comments, and then
Right.
by the end of the comment, it's
always
back in
about
1998 when Mankind threw the
Undertaker.
Undertaker off Hell in a... No,
Yeah.
maybe it was Mankind being thrown off. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
obviously
I don't remember.
little illiterate when it comes to the specific copy pasta. How about this? A 1v1 over in the duo lane. Vote had done more damage. Cyclone Spin with all 3 snipes connecting. We'll send it right on back. Now Neoma rotates in, makes Cyclone pay for the overextension. This is a good numbered fight for the Oni Warriors. An early advantage for the Oni Warriors. Gives them an advantage later on in the fight, and the kills are even.
Love that play from Vote, playing aggressive, knowing that he's got numbers on the way, and not great ward coverage from the Titans on this left-hand side makes him think that that fight is going to stay advantageous for them, when in actuality it was Vote who was doing the baiting all along and perfectly calculating his health bar, by the way. Games that look like real stinkers. But overall, I think that he's played really, really well this year. I think that that last play that sets up the 2 kills for the Warriors is really just a perfect play by Vote that sets it all up.
Here we go. This was the big moment for the Tartarus Titans to extend their lead early in this game, and it's only Neoma who is immediately here, and the Titans will secure the Gold Fury, and that's great investment from Aurora. We'll drop the cage down. Nobody else is going to get in melee range, and Vote can't auto-attack it down. You got to go through those walls first. So a nice little gold spike, little XP spike to the Titans.
On this mid lane tower, but Dardez's early rotations, and Tiamat just tends to get these little poke damage on the towers with the lizards. You'll see Paul use that cooldown every time it's up. Just put it in the lane, and it's moments like this where Dardez has to shade right in order to help here. These minions are going to deal damage.
Fight breaks out.
Nice
Aurora
cage.
able to cage in Nika. Now Nika lurking in the waters, but watch out for Paul lurking in the back line. Winds of Shamash onto Nika as well. A whole lot invested onto this Sobek. Survivability high enough that its back camp's taken away. Nika was even able to get his own blue buff there. And so some investment. Tartarus Titans trying to find the kills. But if one team or the other doesn't necessarily feel comfortable with the fight, you do have the opportunity to trade out these objectives. But as the game has slowed down, Aggro, we have reached those power spike items from Paul. The Soul Reaver is there. The percent pen portion of the Ob Shard has connected here on this Tiamat. A 1-level lead over Dardez, who does have Ob Shard as well. So the Herald will hit, but Paul's going to be hitting as well.
Definitely a little bit harder even because he's got that extra 2/3 of an item.
Engage from Benji to Neoma in, and then immediately out. Nika alone in the back line with everyone from the Tartarus Titans. Lurks and then unlurks, shows himself, but with half of his HP missing. Big engage from Layers, who then gets pulled right on back. And then the cage connects as well. This is perfect scenario for the Tartarus Titans, and they're making the Oni Warriors pay for grouping. A couple kills have already been connected. Cubo, Fred will be burned on down. Everyone from the Titans getting involved. 3 members from the Oni Warriors, soon to be 4, soon to be 5.
Dardez, no beads, will get stunned, but no one else here. It's just Aurora on the solo mission because Nika
Maybe 4.
has kindly pulled the rest of the team away. Just too simple for the Titans with all of their AoE control. The Warriors get out of the first cage, which was very good from Layers, and directly into the waiting arms of Aurora, who drops the cage right afterwards. Who cares about this Oni Fury? Fire Giant is a call for the Titans, and that fight just goes instantly from difficult to impossible for the Warriors as soon as those initiations from Nika in particular doesn't find anything. I mean, he blink flux, splits the uprights, doesn't find anyone from the Titans, doesn't put any pressure on any sets of relics, and then has to ult out as just a mobility tool. Pressure on those guys. They just can shrug that off pretty easily with how much stronger they're going to be.
Yep, and why not? Why not do this? Why not send a few people left? You send a few people mid, maybe the Oni Warriors show some face, but I don't think you're feeling comfortable fighting underneath anything except for maybe your Titans at this point, and even then, not comfortable. It's been this play over and over. Aurora walks in, cages someone. This time it's Cubo Fred. Then the chain CC is there on the back end. One more cage is in, and Cyclone Spin with the ultimate finishes off the Oni Warriors jungler. There is a Ragnarok from Neoma, but it's brought Layers right back into engage range. Tier 2 tower gets taken down. Couple exposed Phoenixes for the Titans.
That was a really smart play from Aurora, too. He body blocked Fred so he couldn't get the autos that he needed.
Wow, Cubo Fred is still 30 seconds away. If you lose this fight, Warriors, you lose the game. And the Tartarus Titans realize that Aurora wreaking havoc in the backline. A jump in from Benji as the mid lane Phoenix goes down. Vote gone before my eyes. As God is my witness, he is broken in half, and so is Neoma. The Oni Warriors lose just about everyone, and they'll lose the game here. The Titans roll over them in 22 minutes.
Yeah, this is, look, the Bolts played pretty well yesterday, but the Warriors were sticking with them. This is Phase 2 playoff champ, Tartarus Titans, maybe defending their title.
There are a few respawns from the Oni Warriors, but the juggling of the aggro could be strong here from the Tartarus Titans. Nika drop-kicked against the wall. Paul, killing spree, untouched, 305 for the mid laner, and you're playing with your food at this point. And play no further, will the Titans or the Oni Warriors. Game 2 comes to a close. The Titans finish off the 2-0.
Now they just need the belt, because they won Hell in a Cell 2021.
Maybe just stop giving Paul Tiamat. Maybe that's just the lesson to be learned from now 2 sets in a row of play with him on that guy.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to let Paul play the best character in the game like every time. I mean, that's it. Why not just like make him a little bit worse? Like play something that's slightly less meta. You got to think some teams would benefit from that, but instead, it really feels like a lot of squads are still trying to figure out what exactly it is that they want to prioritize here after the 8.8 balance patch, and we're, as Aggro alluded to it during that cast, going to see a wide shift in what the meta looks like once 8.9 drops this Tuesday, with Assassins coming back in a big way. So maybe that will shift some things up there as well, and we won't have to worry about the Paul Tiamat, but I doubt it. I think Paul Tiamat's going to be a consistent threat.
And even with the nerfs to this Gilgamesh that we saw with the 8.8 patch, Layers still made him look pretty nice. Still made him look like a pretty decent god there, and maybe it's just the rest of the Titans kind of surging around him that kind of allows him to play that upfront style for it. But looking at the chart here, looking at the kills, deaths, the assists, I think it's the exact same 2 players who died in game number 1. Just 1 death for Layers, just 1 death for Cyclone, and nothing else around the board for it.
Yeah,
actually, I'm not sure.
What's up, man?
Even still looking at it, I
What's going on?
don't think even in this second game it was a death on the board for anybody outside of just those 2 players going through. There was definitely more kills spread across the board throughout 4 of them. One more day of SPL for this week, and then obviously we'll come back again next week. Matchups tomorrow: Atlantis Leviathans and Valhalla Valkyries will be the first set, and then as previously highlighted, the second set of the day here in studio, Tartarus Titans versus the Solar Scarabs. We'll get to see a look at the new Solar Scarabs after their Phase 2 not ending out so hot for them. We'll see if they can make a nice resurgence here in Phase 3 and maybe try and put a stop to the Tartarus Titans, but that's now, I believe, their 7th win in a row so far with the sets going through, and sitting here tied up at the #1 spot with 2 other teams. It looks a little odd in the standings, but remember, it's only 1 set played so far. We'll see some more shakeups as the remainder of the weeks go for the standings.